the first woman on this list, should I say women, are women who eat their children.
Eat their children.
Yeah. In 2 Kings 6, there's a story about 2 women in Samaria that was famine. And in order to sustain their life, they made a plan that they were going to eat their children one after the other. And this story is one of those stories you see in the Bible and you're like, what is going on here? But you see, that is happening in today's world also, where people are sacrificing their children for their sustenance. And this sustenance is not for the sustenance of food, like in the case of the women in Samaria. It's for the sustenance of cultural relevance,
Take a break. I need a break. I need to retire. So they're not doing it for the sake of food today.
Yeah.
They're not like, I'm eating my child physically.
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing my child on the altar of cultural relevance.
Yes.
Break that down.
So you see that one of the greatest attacks today is the attack on children and their femininity, their gender, or whatever that is. And even in the educational systems, children are being educated with demonic curriculums. And all of these things are happening. And the parents who are supposed to be the guardians and the custodians and the protectors, many of them, because they need to flow with this new kind of, system, many people give in to the pressure and they don't fight against it. So many of their children are being swallowed up in this demonic cycle, and the parents allow it because they want to remain relevant. They want to be able to say, you know what, I did not fight the new, I did not fight the trend, I am woke, I'm alive, I'm a part of this. And that in itself is because there's a kind of hunger on the inside of them. And so God is speaking to women who are hungry, but they are not going to the bread of life for food and sustenance. Rather, they are using their children as a tool of negotiation on demonic altars. And God says, I'm going to judge those mothers. He said, because I gave you the grace and the capacity to protect, to fight. That's one of the things about a mother, like Ezekiel 19. He said, who is your mother, O princess of Israel? Is she not meant to be a lioness? Why are the princes being taken into captivity? He says, this is a lamentation and should be recorded as a lamentation when the mothers cannot rise up as lionesses. And so God says, I'm going to judge these mothers who negotiate with their children with demonic altars and do not protect them.
Wow. So, I have so many questions, but for time, number 2.
The second category of women that God is judging, he's judging Herodias. And you find Herodias in Mark chapter 6.
And the less Nigerians among us call her Herodias. But
okay.
I prefer Herodias. The thing is just...
It's more powerful, yes, absolutely.
The thing is flowing, Herodias. Another time. Herodias. That's what I'm going to call her from now on. Let's go to Herodias. Come on. Talk to me about Herodias.
Yes, God is judging Herodias.
Good God. Okay.
Yes, and these are women who have power, authority, and connection to government. And they know that their voices are so strong that they can easily manipulate policies and decrees. But the thing is, Herodias, they target a certain group of people. They target John the Baptist. And so when her daughter came to her and said, hey, I have influence with the king, what should I ask for? She said, asking for the head of John the Baptist. John the Baptist represented a new day, a movement, the word of the Lord, the fire of God. He represented the ability to oppose, demonic systems in government. And so Herodias says, come for the head of revivals. They come for the head of movements. They come for the head of, spiritual awakenings. And they do it through government and their connections to positions of influence.
Wow. And how does that differ from a gold digger? Because this lady was seductively enchanting the government powers to permit this moral freedom fighter called John the Baptist to basically convict him and get his head chopped off. How does she differ from a gold digger? Is she a gold digger? Is she a sugar? Is she looking for a sugar daddy? Is she I mean, I just want to put her in the tent so when the bullet flies to her, they know who the bullet's coming for.
Exactly. I mean, the gold digger is a different kind of evil from the Herodias. The gold digger is all about their own good, their prosperity, their increase. They want to flaunt it on Instagram. They want to let their enemies know that they have prospered. But that's not Herodias. Herodias is very intentional, very strategic. The reason why she's going for the power is that she will use it to shut down the voice of the church. And so she's going for the head of any movement that provokes fire underneath the government.
Wow. So anyone that's a voice against the government, they need to look out for Herodias. She has the power.
She has the power
to convince government to shut you down.
Absolutely. So you find them on social media, you find them as influencers, you find them in government positions. So they have this access, but they don't have God at heart.
Number three
is Athaliah.
Okay.
Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab, but she was also, in Judah. And when her child was killed, Athaliah went for all the children, that had royalty in their blood. And so you see, the thing about Athaliah is that they are positioned in the house of the royals. And these are believers, Christians. We carry the bloodline of God. It says we are a royal priesthood, a holy nation. And so Athaliah is not someone who is outside the church within the context of what God says he's about to judge. Athaliahs live and dwell with those who carry the gospel and those who have been born by God. But you see, the thing about the spirit of Athaliah is that it is provoked by a sense of jealousy and a need to establish yourself as the only one who rules. And so you find this in a lot of Christians, and you find this in a lot of women. And so it's almost like the story of the son of Judah who refused to get his brother's wife pregnant because the child wasn't going to bear his name. And so many people are spilling the semen that could have impregnated their brother's vision simply because it's not going to be their name. So God is judging Athaliahs who are killing others simply because it's not going to be to your glory, and you want to establish yourself as the only woman, as the only voice. And so God says, I'm coming for you because you had the capacity to grow that person's vision. You had the ability to sustain that life, but rather you killed them all simply because you wanted yourself and the bloodline of your vision to be the only thing established.
Number 4.
Jezebels.
Of course.
God says, I'm going to judge Jezebels. I'm judging Jezebels in the nation. I'm judging Jezebels in the generation. And the thing about the spirit of Jezebel is that the spirit of Jezebel kind of looks like the prophetic. She has a voice that is heard, a voice that is received. She has access. Yes, and very accurate. She has access to the spirit realm. And Jezebel also has the ability to appeal to the people. She has the ability to, create a sense of beauty and, so everything about her is captivating. But the thing about Jezebel is that Jezebel never allowed the order and the government of God to be established. But most especially, Jezebel takes authority away from the man and takes authority away from the true rulers. And Jezebels position themselves as the only voice. And God says, I'm bringing order back into my kingdom. I'm reteaching my women what it's like to be meek, which is strength under subjection. And God says, in the season that is coming, I'm going to deliver my people from the Jezebel spirit. He says, because all of this grace is meant to be used for the kingdom of God. And it has been perverted for too long by the Jezebel spirit. And God says, you're going to see in the coming season where those who have positioned themselves and have preached a contrary gospel to the gospel of Christ, he says, I'm about to judge them. I'm going to judge them in the church. I'm going to judge them in the world. He says, and I'm going to raise the true image of what it means to be a woman in authority.
Wow. And finally, number 5.
The Witch of Endor.
Witch of...
Absolutely. And the Lord said this to me. He said, because there's a back door that has been opened in this generation. And he says so many people in this generation are looking for answers, and they know it's not in the peripheral, it's not in the world, they know it's in the spirit, but they just don't know how to access God, or they don't want to access God in their rebellion. So many of them end up in the houses of the Witch of Endor. And God says, witchcraft has become normal. Witchcraft has become cultural. To be a witch is a trend now. Yeah. And God says, I'm going to judge the witches. He says, I'm going to take all of them down. And God says, in the season that is coming, I'm going to raise the people who truly understand how to access the spirit realm. And he says it's going to be a showdown like the altar of Baal versus Elijah. He says, I'm raising daughters with the Elijah spirit that are not only going to speak about witchcraft in the church and in the world, but you're going to judge them. And these are going to be men of fire. And I'm going to use them to take down the witches of Endor.
Wow.